Celtic's Catholic associations could not be more basic. The club was founded in the latter part of the 19th century, largely because of the determination of a Marist brother who was a headmaster in the East End of Glasgow. Brother Walfrid's main aim in starting the club was to raise money to feed and clothe the poor of the East End parishes, where there was a heavy concentration of Irish immigrants. He was also keen to keep young Catholics loyal to their own faith and their own community, and saw Celtic as a cohesive influence.
By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young girl calling, Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, so the young might see the morn. Now a prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young man calling, nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I rebelled, they cut me down. Now you must raise our child with dignity. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly.
Celtic have such a grip over people, particularly in Scotland, in the west of Scotland. It's very hard to shake off. People think of it from Saturday to Saturday. They go to the game on the Saturday, they go for a drink after it, they go to work during the week, they talk about it all the time, so really their whole life is wrapped around it. That's why Celtic have more of an identity rather than just something to go and see on a Saturday. Celtic get passed down through families, through history, and I think the feeling is also passed on, this family feeling, this feeling that we came here and we weren't really wanted by quite a few of the people in the community. And I think that's what Celtic exists by.
The acquisition of Stein and subsequent promotion of him to captain were consistent with Celtic's policy on signing players, which was genuinely ecumenical for generations before Rangers recently made a break with their tradition of confining recruitment strictly to Protestants. But was the denominational mix always harmonious in the Celtic dressing room? The best man to answer that question was to be found in a suburb on the south side of Glasgow. It's a long way from Sean Fallon's birthplace in County Sligo, but his years as a player and then as Stein's assistant manager at Celtic have given him roots here.
I felt I wanted to join a club that had done something for the poor. I was surprised at the feelings in Glasgow, the way the people looked on Catholic and Protestants.
Well, the intensity of the feeling.
The intensity was unbelievable. That was all foreign to me, having been brought up in a different environment. And then the fact that there were so many Protestants attached to Celtic Football Club.
There was one occasion, wasn't there, at least one, after Celtic lost to Rangers at Ibrox, when the great Charlie Tully caused a bit of an argument in the dressing room by suggesting that Celtic were suffering from having too many Protestants in the team?
Well, actually, I remember that quite vividly. It was actually, it was kind of a communal bath that we all could get into. At that time, there was no showers, which most clubs have now. And Charlie made that comment in the bath, and God, I thought he was going to get drowned because, and I was quite worried because we're outnumbered. The Catholics were outnumbered in the bath. But Charlie got away with it. Being Charlie, he got away with quite a lot.
Did Jock have any part in that argument?
He wasn't too happy about the remark, and he made it known.
Did he?
Yes, he made it known in no small way.
Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friend, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze.
When Bill left Carlisle, was there acrimony about his departure?
Well, I think people were a bit surprised. Bill had a team that they were in the Shankly mould. You know, they played the Shankly type of football, and his great strength, I think, was this fact that he never stopped being a player, thinking like a player, and doing all he could for players, rather than in those days there were a lot of managers who were what I would call directors' managers.
Yeah.
They weren't players' managers. And Bill, I thought, was a players' manager, and he always thought like a player. Now,
He missed it so much when he stopped, didn't he?
That was. You see, everybody misses it, Hugh. The worst day of your life is when you finish playing, but he missed it more than anybody, I think. He went on being a player, you know. He was incredible, Bill. But you see, he went to Grimsby, and then he must have got perhaps a wee bit fed up.
If that's all there is, my friend, then let's keep dancing.
They may have been at Man United and Stan Colours at Wolverhampton Wanderers and Billy Nicholson at somewhere else, but I didn't think they were better than me because they were with big clubs. Oh no.
When, in 1954, Shankly went from Grimsby to the manager's job at Workington, the change again represented movement sideways rather than upwards. He was still in the 3rd Division North, still a long way from finding the right vehicle for his driving ambition.
I said, how's it going at Workington, Mr. Shankly? Oh, he says, we've got a great strip. I said, what do you mean? A good team? He said, no, we've got a great strip. Jersey, pants and stockings. He says, only one problem, we've got 18 directors. He says, we've got more directors than we've got players. He says,
Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friend, then let's keep...
And then what he done was, before you played, he put 11 wee tablets. Right? He put 11 wee tablets down there, right? And he wants to see. And if you didn't take one of the tablets, you wouldn't have played next week because it was a buzz. It gave you a buzz. What happened was, oh man, God, what happened was, after the game, you couldn't eat or nothing. You were in a high about 8 or 9 o'clock. I think it was. I don't know what you call it.
We're all in trouble here now.
Yes.
There's going to have to be a retrospective inquiry into Bill Shankly.
He definitely left it. He left the pill.
It could be another Ben Johnson scandal.
And I'll tell you, if you didn't take that, you wouldn't be playing the following week. As soon as it went down, they were all into it. And it kept you, I don't know what it was, but it kept you in a buzz because after the game you still felt you could go again.
Well,
You understand?
They're red energy tablets, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, well, that's what we'll say.
Well, call it energy.
It's definitely just energy.
We eat a problem.
Yeah, it's much the same as Lucasade.
All there is, my friend, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and hide.
After Workington, the next stop was Huddersfield, where the developing manager met up with a boy player he recognized instantly as a prodigy. Dennis Law recognized Shankly as an often disconcerting original.
At Huddersfield, you had a long corridor, you know, and because Shankly's office was at the bottom, and the treatment room was at the other end. And I remember coming out, I had some treatment done, I saw something wrong with my leg, and I come out, and it was only the two of us in the corridor. But of course, it wasn't going to be fit for the Saturday. So as we walked along, I mean, absolute silence, he walked right by me. If you were injured, you were out of the picture at all. Now, of course, a fortnight later, with the same scene, if you're fit to play, how you doing? Nice to see you, looking well, Bob.
After the war, Matt Busby was lucky, I must say this, to have a team of players that could play, even though most of them were veterans. So until Matt got his young boys ready, giving them time to get them ready, he used his old players. Then, of course, come the Busby Babes. And Matt's foresight, Matt's ability, everything that a man needs to be a football manager, Matt Busby has.
When the astonishing crop of talents delivered by Manchester United's youth programme in the mid-1950s came to be called the Busby Babes, it was confirmation of the extent to which one man had stretched the public perception of how influential a manager could be in the creation of a team and their playing style. All of Busby's teams bore the stamp of his belief in creative, adventurous football, in flair and verve and freedom of expression, and none more strikingly than the Babes.
We started a youth system and from the start, and it was there, and you could see players of calibre there, but they were still very young, and it got to the stage I started thinking to myself, will I do it, will I not? And we played this match, and I put a lot of these young boys in, and we won 4-0. And I remember the following day, walking along the golf course, and these things were turning over my mind, and I said to myself, well, they won 4-0, but what was the strength of the 4-0 win? And this went on for a couple of days. Will I put them in, will I not? And all of a sudden I said, right, I'm going to put them all in.
After 13 minutes, Manchester gave Birmingham no time to recover from the shock. United were pressing hard when Pegg hooked the ball back from the goal line and Charlton cracked it in.
Where did you have your digs?
Near Stretford Town Hall, which is about a quarter of a mile from Old Trafford football ground, and we all stayed in the same place and we all went out together. There was about 12, 14 of us there.
14 teenage footballers?
Yeah, well, all the, not just teenagers, I mean, Jackie Blanchflower, Mark Jones, Duncan Edwards, Billy Whelan, all the lads that had travelled from...
All in the same dig?
All the same digs, all together, yeah. It was great. It was paradise. And I think a lot of that's down really to Sir Matt, because he let everybody know that everyone in the club was as important as anyone else.
Manchester United, favourites on form, looked dangerous right away. Quickly outside right, John Berry worked in from the wing, put in a hard drive, and...
He met me off the Haitian boat at 8:30 in the morning, took me to his house, and we had breakfast together. And he was the first manager to wear a tracksuit and go and mingle with the players. And at that time, he was my legal guardian. You had to get a paper signed that he was my legal guardian. In other words, he was my second father, and he treated me like a son, and I treated him like a father. Yes.
He did things that people below him couldn't possibly do. You know, his negotiations, the decisions that he made about us going to play in Europe when the Football League was saying you can't do this. When he was actually financing the start of what you see here now, you know, the first corporate boxes really were Sir Matt's idea when he went across to San Francisco, it was, to see the Giant Stadium, and he saw the corporate box and thought, well, I'll have some of those at Old Trafford. Well, he made decisions like that nobody below him could possibly do, you know. And he took chances, but he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to be the best. He didn't just want to be the best in England, he wanted to be the best in the world. So Europe was an adventure that we had to be part of.